So, a TikTok user sells. Oh fuck! Shit, wrong one. Oh god. Oh, never mind. Where the fuck did I put this? Oh, there you go. There you go. All right. That was like weeks ago. All right, try it again. There is a petition on change.org to get rid of a certain cosmetic item from the Dead by Daylight game. It's a mask that is worn by Leatherface. According to the creator of the petition, this dark shaded mask is evoking blackface. The author goes on to say that this has special significance because Leatherface is supposed to be a white man. Do you think there is anything to these allegations? Or is this indicative of a certain mindset that looks for offense in media? What if you actually could prove racial animus by the developers? Would that change your answer? This got forwarded to me by Fanatiq. Apparently Ralph came up with it. I thought Ralph was Fanatiq. FYI. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So again, there's a petition, and specifically about the Dead by Daylight game, specifically about a cosmetic that they say evokes blackface. Right? I'll put the link in the chat for you all, the Twitch chat, so you guys can see exactly what the item is, and you guys decide for yourself. And yeah, so we'll go from there. Let's go to Wiggle. Start for opening statements, please.
Yeah, so like I don't know, I looked at the petition and it was like, it says it's from like almost a year ago or something, like 9 months ago, and then like it only got 46 out of like 100 people to sign it. It doesn't really seem like that big, but then when you read it, it really does just evoke that kind of like Gamergate type stuff. It evokes like that like looking for offense, that whole like the thriving gamers against like social justice warriors type thing. It kind of really does look like overblown and like crazy. And then I looked at like some of the design. I just went on Google and I typed in pictures of like the Dead by Daylight, and like when you see on the black characters and stuff, it does kind of look like people who are racist would probably use this skin, and like they definitely would be like, yo, I'm gonna throw this on because it'll make it funnier when I say like racist stuff. And like I know as a gamer, like I 100% would do that if I was just trying to be funny, and I'd throw that on, so I could see why people would do that shit. But then like I don't know, I think like the person's overblowing it by saying like the developers are into it, but like Fanatiq added at the end, what if you could prove racial animus? So I'm kind of sitting here like with my fingers like tied. I'm like, yo, I want to hear about these developers, because developers be on some shit. So like, if you can prove that they're like racist, that'd be fucking awesome. That'd be like funny. I love anti-developer stories. So yeah.
Wow, that's a weird fetish, but all right, no problem. All right, let's go to
good one though. You'll enjoy it. It's been a great year for us.
Yeah, it actually is. Oh man. All right, Sister Karen, please.
So basically, I want just to give some background about this cosmetic in general. So basically, this cosmetic is an unlockable cosmetic for the character Leatherface in the game. You unlock it by killing each. He has 4 versions of it for 4 different survivors. You unlock it by killing 25 of the killing a survivor with this face 25 times in the game is how you unlock the character. And so it's been in the game for about 4 years now, just for some background. And so it's recently come back up again because of the fact that one of the members of Sister of the Fog, which is a group of Black femmes who play DVDs, that we have a stream team and everything like that. One of our members I think 2 weeks ago, she tweeted about it. It's become this whole like big discussion all over again. But the concern about it is really not anything new. So I have about 5,000 hours in this game. I've been playing this game since 2016, and by far the most racist things that ever happened in this game to me is somebody with that damn face on, like, telling me out of the game, and then dropping like racial slurs in the chat, in the post game chat, like pretty consistently. Like Wiggle like nailed it right. Like when you said that, I was like, yes, that is almost certainly what happens, like without fail.
So please don't think I'm one of those people. I just say that's what I would do.
Yeah, I was just like, wow, it's like scarily accurate what happens. And so it happens a lot. And so I ended up, I think after she posted, I posted something in support of her, what she said. And then literally a day later in one of my games, I had this happen to me again. And so I posted this, my experience about it on Twitter, posted a little video about what happened. And people are just like, this bitch is just making this shit up. And I'm like, what? And like the man, like not only was I told out the game, they basically tried 15 ways to call me some kind of racial slur that didn't make it through the chat filters, and then ended up on I don't like black people. And then you're just like, oh, but they're just like, oh, she's just making it up. You're just mad because you lost. I'm like, no, no, and so it's been this whole topic of discussion, and I think so Ralph and I have been friends for a long time. He streams Dead by Daylight, and so he was like, Karen, you should get in on this conversation. So this is why I'm here. But yeah, this has been an issue. They've been target many black streamers. I've talked to many of us, some of who are in the chat have had a lot of like really negative issues with people of this cosmetic. So that's kind of the biggest concern. People just, like we know a lot of racists just are kind of exist in the gaming community in general. It's just they just continue to be extra and use it to target us, and it's annoying.
Thank you so much. All right, Chris Cosmic.
Yeah, this is like one of those things where I just feel like, bro, black people can't have or be included.
Is he coming out for anyone else?
Because racists will take and use those things for
Chris, you're we're having a little audio trouble. Work on that. We'll come back to you, okay, buddy?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Try it again.
Okay. I think it was like an internet, like something skipped or something.
Okay.
All right. But yeah, it feels like black people can't have or be included in anything because racists will take those things and use them to their goal, right? You can't have emotes because your emote might get popular and a bunch of racists might spam your emote in someone's chat to like invoke the image of a black face, like a black image, like the thing we had with tryhards emote, right? Like why? And this is a horror game, and like this is Leatherface. This is what he does. He takes the face of his victims. And that's like there are black characters in the game, right? I wouldn't want it to be taken away because this is like black people are included in this mythos of the game's lore, and like this, and like the work, like just the makeup of the game, and to just say like no, we can't have that face in there because that these other people are going to be using it for nefarious means. Well, they're just going to go jump to something else, right? It's not like these racist people are going to go away in the game. They're going to still find ways to be racist and as racist as they can. I understand that. But like, if we go down this route, if we keep doing this, right, we're just going to cave to everything they do. Then black people just won't be a part of any of this shit. Like, which is unfortunate. So I'm just like, we have to fight the racists and like for the ways that they use these things, push them out of these communities. But like these things that involve black characters, they should stay.
Okay. Bam.
If you really think about it, like Leatherface is like a serial murderer, and wouldn't it be more racist if he was like I can kill you, but like he too good for a blackface? Like I don't know about that. Like I murder you, but I don't know about wearing your face. Y'all be getting profiled. Like I don't know. I just think that I don't even know how you compete in competitive Leatherface. Like this sounds dangerous to children. Like competitive mass murdering. Like whoever gets the most kills wins. This game just sounds crazy to me. I've never played, but I think that there's like I think there's some legitimate issues to be had with people using the game irresponsibly, but I don't put that as a fault of game developers. I feel like they were just like, again, they're already dealing with a niche topic of a serial killer. Like, I don't think they're in the place to like think of like, but what about the social justice? Like he can kill people, but we don't want him to be racist. I don't know. It feels really weird. Like I don't put any of the issues on them, and then we'll go into that in the open.
Okay, Fanatiq.
I think it does become an issue because ultimately, yes, our job is to make sure that we're included as much as possible, but what you'll discover is that part of that inclusion can be used against us. So when someone decides to do something like taking Leatherface and intentionally using this cosmetic in a way in order to harass other black content creators, then basically what you're now doing is saying, it puts us in the middle of this decision. do we tell the developers to take away the blackface, right? And then at that point, then it encourages the racists or whoever the bad actors are to basically say, hey, if you guys want to just harass people out of this, then you won't have to worry about black inclusion, right? So you give them that option. And I don't think that that's ever a good signal, right? And I feel like it would actually be a signal boost because it would become a humongous story if they were to remove the thing. But at the same time, then you have this face, which is clearly being used in order to harass and denigrate other people. So I would say that it sounds like the realistic solution would probably be an increase in moderation in order to make sure that bad actors are actively punished so as to prevent this thing from just getting haywire and people doing whatever the freak they want to, while also making sure that there's still the inclusion allowed. I think with the Trihex thing, we've seen the exact same thing. I had a really extensive conversation with Trihex about that, about his face and how it's used in some of those ways. But we'll get more into that in the open.
Cherry. Cherry? Are you?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you're just smiling. You're okay.
I was looking at Eric. But okay, my thing here. This isn't blackface. This is just like a mask, right? And I don't know if people use it in a way that makes you feel like it's blackface. Like it might be time to retire the game or something like that. Like I don't know. This seems like way too much. I don't think this is a thing. This is 46 people that raised their hand. Please, I want to be offended on the internet like a year ago. Why are we talking about this?
Okay. Hope.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
I was muted for a second. Okay. So I'm not a gamer. Gaming is not my thing, but social justice and activism is. And so when we talk about the idea of the ways in which people use racism and blackface in everyday situations to exclude Black people from a bunch of different platforms, this is a problem, whether it be 46 people or 1,000 people. I think that the concerns and the voices of Black people who feel offended about some shit should always be taken seriously, the same way that we should take it seriously when people say that they've been raped or that they've been harmed or whatever the case may be, right? Just because the number is low or it's insignificant to one group of people does not make the situation any less significant to the people that are feeling harmed by it. I think that it's the same thing like when people have come out and said like, oh, y'all are saying that it's an epidemic of trans people being killed, but there's only 23. It doesn't matter. It's an epidemic. So let's take that seriously. I think that when we're talking about the ways in which this game works, it's not just a game. When we're talking about the fact that most of the gamers that are using these games are young Black and brown children. There's already not enough representation, but then to hop on this game and you already know that the racism is running rampant, but then to see that something like this is happening and people aren't taking it serious also says to you as a young Black child that your voice is not going to be taken seriously, that you don't belong in these worlds that people tell you all the time that you should be a part of, and that young Black developers are not going to be as, open to the idea of going into these spaces because they're being told that in the event that they raise a question or they raise their voice about something like this, that they won't be listened to because 46 people at the company, right, aren't enough to make sure that this can be, like, something can be done about this. I think that while I understand the fact that this is something that happened a year ago, it's something that happened a year ago and people raised their voices about, but we also know that the significance of the ways in which people listen to Black and brown voices is another thing that might have kept this from becoming a huge mainstream topic of issues. Also, a year ago, we were dealing with a bunch of other things that were way more important than gaming, right? We were talking about Breonna Taylor. We were talking about George Floyd. We were talking about the deaths of so many other Black people in real life that maybe a petition about some, hypothetical situation that was happening in the gaming world was not big then. But now that we've dealt with like the major issues and mainstream issues, we can talk about the ways in which people come into these spaces for mental health cleansing and need to have their voices heard in these spaces as well. And so if I were somebody who were spending 12 to, whatever hours on this thing, streaming or just enjoying myself or getting away from the troubles of what it means to be Black in America, I want those things to be a safe space for me, just like everybody else wants to be able to get on the game and be safe. Now, we're all going to talk trash. We're all going to, do whatever, but I shouldn't have to get on here and worry about somebody trolling constantly just because they can. So while I do feel like in some ways, yes, people do use social justice reform and the social justice argument to like bait people into these hypothetical, like overthought out conversations. It is a thing. It does happen. We should still be able to acknowledge the fact that this is a thing that happens and that it affects the way that we deal with shit outside of those games. It affects the conversations that we're having outside of those games. It affects the way that people are able to maneuver the systems that create those games, right? So it's not just about that. It's about opportunity. It's about the way that we maneuver it. It's about the way that we buy. It's about the way that we purchase. And it's about our voices ultimately. So that's my thought process on this without being a gamer. I want to preface it with that because I think that that's also important.
Okay, so a little behind the scenes, right? Hope goes, oh, I don't have anything to say on this. I don't want to, I just kind of want to chill, right? Right? And then she comes in, and once again, like last week when we just first met her, she just drops the mic. This is why people love you, all right? So thank you, Hope, for coming through. Also, Jay, I have to throw it to you once again right afterwards.
No, it's fine. I love following Hope. I love that she's here. Yeah, I think that it's inherently,
you sound a little quiet to me, Jay.
Okay. Does this sound better?
Much better. Please go
okay. No, yeah. So the character is inherently a white man, and the way to get this achievement is by killing a black character in the game. That sounds racist to me. I don't know about any of y'all, but that doesn't sound right. And to support Hope's point, 10.9 million people follow this category on Twitch right now. It's a popular game that gets a lot of attention, and they should take any claim, especially this one, right now, seriously. Just because a year ago is really not that long of a time, considering we were all, still afraid of flying a year ago. I do think it's an offensive, and I think the developers should take this seriously, or at least look into, okay, what is another way that we can maybe keep this and keep the Black gaming community. I don't personally play the game, but I do see a lot of Black gamers in Twitch. On Twitch, I see a lot of Black gamers play this game, and they're popular as far as like partnership and all that stuff. But no, I think they should take this seriously, and it's really adverse to it kind of sounds like they just don't want to look into it because they don't want to like try to take a side, in my opinion.
Okay, all right. Thank you all. Open to the panel, Chris.
Yeah, okay. It isn't that this skin is specifically only like it's only the Black character that you do this with, right? There's 4 survivors. You kill all of them to get their faces, all of their faces. One of those characters happens to be a Black woman. Now, like this is just the lore of Leatherface in general, right? The victims he kills, he wears their skin. Now, I don't want to say that just because that situation is that doesn't mean like there isn't racists in the game using that to their advantage, right? So yes, like racist people can use this to do some racist things. There are like this is an issue. It's an issue in a lot of games, tons of games. I don't want to make it seem like this isn't an issue
it's
in
like
any
an issue in life, right?
Yeah, so like when we have these things, right? I don't want it to be like, all right, let's just remove that skin, don't give them the option to use it. Well, when it comes to another horror character that they add in, and it happens to be more Black survivors, all right, should we not include them in like whatever like mythos or whatever like type of process to go through with the character? Should we just not let them kill Black characters at all? Should we just remove Black characters from the game so they're not involved in any of this? Right? So like this like just seems weird to me that like we don't like the problem. There's a direct problem. There's the racist in the game, and Karen said they made it so in chat like they banned tons of slurs and tons of words you can use it narrows down that they can only just say I don't like Black people, right? So there's that issue with they've worked on, and then like there's like they have to come up with an issue about like reporting people who do these things, right? We get enough of them out the game, we get enough of them banned from the game, we make this a community-wide issue where nobody tolerates it when they're playing it, then like that could work. But even if we take the skin out, right, there's still going to be racist people in the game targeting black characters specifically, just for that reason, because they're going to type in the chat, "I don't like black people." So
Can I ask a question? Because somebody, I forget which one said it, but somebody said, this is a big issue because it's a white character who has to kill the black character to get the face, and I just like want to know why.
No, Jay Cook, who was you referencing?
Yeah.
I don't know who said it.
I said that.
Jay, yeah, it was Jay who said it. You do have to kill that black character 25 times to get that skin, but you have to kill the other characters 25 times to get their face too. Right? It's not just that, black character.
I'm just saying that's probably something we don't need to like hone in on. It like I don't think there's a problem there. That's part of the game. Or are we just like always offended if a white character has to kill a black character, even if there's like no racist intention on that?
I don't know. I feel like offended. Offended is like that word is like weighted. It seems like No, I'm not. And I'm not saying you had the intention of that, but I'm saying like whenever we talk about offended,
no, but can you just answer my question?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can you rephrase the question?
Okay, so are we just offended if a white character in a game has to kill a black character, even if there is no racist intention to it? Like, is that okay if a video game has that sort of interaction?
Okay, to answer your question in the way that I think you're asking, it's not inherently racist that a white character has to kill a black character. It's, to me, problematic that a white character kills a black character and then gets their black face.
Okay, and then
now,
if that
not
white
knowing
character
that
kills a
that
white
is part of the
character
lore, then I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you can continue because I think you're going to explain away.
Oh, yeah, not knowing that that is part of the game, like that is also a part of how to get the other character's face. I didn't know that part because I've never played the game. But
just hearing about it was enough for like you to be offended.
Yes, because of that attachment. Like, why? I guess it's like it's a collectible to me that doesn't seem necessary as part of the game, but I guess because I need to play it in order to understand it.
Yeah, so I think being like suspicious first like is fine, but like to jump to this sounds racist like right away before even knowing anything about the game.
It sounds problematic, and then I was like, I said racist, and then I said it sounds problematic. I don't think that we should have jumped to that conclusion without like knowing anything about
but if she
the
clarified,
reason, but knowing that it's a video game, like.
But if she clarified and then said that instead now that it seems like kind of ridiculous to attack her on the initial statement, when she further clarified and walked it back to the point of it just seems
okay. Thanks, Fanatiq, for speaking for her.
Yep, you're welcome.
That's what
Anytime.
I just said.
I was about to say,
I think we talk about this though. We have to talk about the fact, because for me, I'm not gonna dog walk it back, right? The idea here isn't. I don't think that anybody is upset with the way that the game operates and is played, right? Because there's fairness around that. What I think that people are really targeting is the fact that there are racist folks that are going to be able to use this, right, to further their racism. They're going to exist, but I think it's the conversation that should be being had here is why are game developers allowing these people, right, who are obviously going to benefit from this in some weird, sick, sadistic way to use this skin and play these parts, right? I think that there should be a feature where you should be able to like maybe report these people, and then those people are not allowed to, play that feature of the game, whatever the fuck the case may be. But that using that face in order to do blackface in and of itself is racist. It's a racist behavior. We're not talking about people who are just playing the game. We're not talking about the offense that people take just for seeing white people kill black people. We are talking about the ways in which people will function, right? And use this function in order to further their racist, behavior, right?
People are going to be racist with or without that mask.
People are going to be racist with or without the mask. But the thing about it is, I think what folks are saying is that game developers should do something, right? In order to stop
46 people, right?
But
Okay, I just want to
But before you do that, I'm gonna throw it right to you. Fanatiq, we had a little trouble with you in terms of your sound. That was leaking over. Okay, got that taken care of. Thank you so much. Right, and just a friend of ours, Nick P. Bragg, gave a donation. Wanted us to recognize Veterans Day. Thank you, Nick P. Bragg, for your kind support, and thank you for your service as well. Thank you so much, Nick, and everyone else who serves. Go ahead, sister.
So I just want to clarify about this 46 thing. I think that I don't want us to kind of belittle this point by keep referencing that, because I personally have never seen that change.org position in my life until today. And I think that I speak for a lot of my members in the DVD community that most of us have never seen this petition before. So I don't think that saying that it's just 46 people is valid, because I don't think most of us have seen this petition before.
Okay, that's fair. That's just the only thing that was linked along with like the question.
Yeah, but I just wanted to make it clear. Like, I don't think it's fair to kind of be like, oh, this is like a thing that only a few people care about. That's not accurate. Like, I just want to be clear about that.
I think that, like, again, I think that there's some people, again, I think that people can legitimately find it offensive if it's something that doesn't sit right with them. Like I said, I just didn't want to like belittle that, like, oh, are we going to be offended by things? Like, people are going to be offended. I think that's something that individuals can sort through for themselves, and that's like a legitimate feeling for every person who has like different different standards that they hold for like the types of media they want to engage in. And we're having this conversation, so like I think that's super valid to say, like, yeah, I find it offensive. Broader, I don't think that this I personally don't really see a issue with it, just in context of the type of game it is, and the idea of, like, again, like I said it jokingly, but really when you're dealing with a game which seems to be the goal of the game is to go around like murdering people, like being a serial murderer who cuts off people's faces, I think there may be a different standard of what's accepted in these type and when you engage in this type of game. I'm not here to protect the mask, because I don't like the mask doesn't make me feel represented, but like, oh yeah, like this is representation from him being able to cut off a black face. Like I'm not here to defend the mask. Like if they got rid of it tomorrow, I don't play the game, but I wouldn't imagine there's many black people who would feel like upset if the mask was there or not, like as far as like a representation.
There's a different problem, because the problem isn't about representation. And just for the record, the reason why I included that change.org, I just typed in Leatherface blackface, because that happened to have been like one of the arguments that was used, and that happened to be one of the what happened to be one of the things that I found on Google. So I was like, oh, okay, here's just change that petition, whatever, that kind of voices it, because at the time I didn't have access to all of the various tweet chains, one of which came from Sister Karen, where it clearly detailed all of the experiences that people had. So then I feel like it needs to be elucidated a bit that what's happening here is not just that the character's wearing the face, is that the character's wearing the face and then griefing. Now, griefing is something that happens in all sorts of different video games in which a person does something that's somewhat outside of the meta. I hate using that word, but outside of the meta of the game in order to antagonize other people. And so what's happening specifically within Dead by Daylight is that people are foregoing what actually a killer is supposed to do in order to play the game, in order to sit directly in front of the camera, because the game happens to have a point of view focus. They're sitting directly in front of the camera of black content creators and sitting there and continuing to attack their body that gains them literally no benefit while they're already on a hook, therefore not accomplishing the rest of their goals within the game. So clearly this isn't something where it's just people playing the game randomly. These people are intentionally antagonizing people, thereby disallowing them from playing the game. So this is something that is incredibly problematic. The killers are losing the games in order to do this. So clearly it's not just a matter of them playing the game, just so that you guys have that information. Secondly, when it comes to the idea of removing the thing and whether or not black people are going to feel like there's no less representation, the problem with this thing is not about representation. The problem with this thing is the fact that by doing so, you then arm the racists who now feel like they successfully achieved something by removing a black feature from the game. And so then at this point, I think it would escalate or somewhat, as I said, signal boost the idea of the harm that was originally occurring, if all of that makes sense to you guys.
I'm a little confused about something. And maybe Karen could assist me. When I haven't played Dead by Daylight for a long time, but I actually really enjoyed it when I did. But like, how is it that a person who just happened to be watching your stream has happened to find you and match with you? Because when we were playing, I wanted to like a friend of ours to match, like to be the killer, and then we would be like the individual survivors, and we couldn't do it. Like it just like how are they matching with you?
I think it was just random that person. I mean, you can try to stream type people, right? You can queue at the same time as other people are queuing, but that used to be possible before there was crossplay amongst platforms. I think it's a lot harder now. Like I used to be able to do it to my friends before. It's really hard now. I think it was just coincidental that he happened to get my lobby, but you can just literally just check people's profiles. If both players are on Steam, you can check their profiles before the game. Like for example, in that game, the game I posted on Twitter, I was actually playing a white character when they said that to me. So that means that they looked at my stream or my profile to kind of know that I was black to say that and do that to me. So they kind of like target me specifically because of that. And this person and somebody else had like already had chimed in and said that person had done something similar to them too. So it's just this person being this complete,
And there's one other thing too. The other problem is that very often when people play that game, myself, I had quite a bit of hours. I was actually one of the elite players back in the day. Anyway, what happens within that game is that you'll find that very often you put your title into your character's name so as to help promote your stream. So example, my name on the game was Fanatiq/TTV, and you'll see that all the time. When the killer has a lobby, the other 4 people join the lobby, and so then the killer can see those channels before they ready up to actually start activating the game. That means that allows the killer the time to look at each person's name if they're streaming, and then to discover, oh, you're streaming, oh, and you're black, oh, I got just the thing for you. Now it's blackface time, now it's harassment time, now it's antagonism time, now I get to show all of my racist face. And that's exactly what the freaks they're doing. I think it speaks to a broader problem, because just like Trihex, I think Triphase, what ends up happening is people just use these things as opportunities in order to harass people. I think the fact that Trihex earned that face, I think, is an insane and amazing accomplishment. To remove that thing so that people can't use it sounds like, okay, great, we got rid of the harassment, but we've also eliminated somebody's crazy accomplishment. In this case, it's not necessarily an accomplishment, but it does still signal to the racists.
Yeah, and this is going to be challenging regardless. Like, I've just been tons of games where, like, if you have like one black character within the roster of the game, like racists will intentionally pick that character to do some racist shit, right? If you've ever been in a Call of Duty lobby before, like even if there's no black people in the lobby, there's still people going to be throwing out slurs and being racist. It's just most people don't report that as much because they're not black, right? These people are like all over the place, and like they just do it to, like Fanatiq said, they're griefers, right? Their goal in the game is to troll people, it's to antagonize them. That's their way of having fun because they have no life outside of that. They're just ruining spaces that we're all in. And I don't want to say like that face for the face is like the representation. I think the black character in herself is a representation, and with her being a part of that lore, like her face, if you kill her, is going to be a part of that, because that's what Leatherface does. If you watch any of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, which coincidentally there's no black people in those movies, so like I guess to avoid that issue in general, but in real life or like in a game situation, that's gonna happen. So I don't know. It's what do we do with with people in general using any type of black representation in the game to their advantage to be more racist, right?
This seems so like minor, to be honest, and it seems like for someone to be racist or to be antagonistic in a video game, for that to like amount to a Me Too, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, like that is too fucking far.
I don't think
I feel like we can like clearly be concerned.
No one's died.
No.
So no one's comparing it to like.
I don't think that comparison came from. Yeah, I don't think it's the thing that
it was mentioned.
Yeah, it was mentioned like
as
for
context.
those to come up in the same breath, but like that's
okay.
crazy.
No, that was
Okay,
happening
well, you don't
during
gotta
the
get hung
time.
up on that. You
Yeah.
don't gotta get hung up on that. Like no one here. No, I don't think anyone here or anyone period in the entire community, in the entire Dead by Daylight community. I think, man, I'm not even a part of that community, and I'd speak up for them and say I'm pretty sure that 99.9% of them don't feel this is the equivalent to George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, or
I mean,
any
that's
of these
cool.
other
Then
Yeah,
everybody
I-
can say
Hope
that.
said that literally in regards to saying how those were far more important and why this wasn't brought up as an issue. Yeah.
Oh, well,
Right,
maybe I
so-
missed that context. This just seems like
It's okay.
this seems like nothing, honestly. People
Well,
are
it-
assholes in video games. They're racist, they're misogynistic, they are trolls. They'll do anything to get on your nerves because they're bad and you're better than them. This
But
is
I
just
think-
fucking video game culture, and it's toxic, and it's definitely a problem. And like, should children be nicer? Yeah, probably. Should we have a way to like moderate assholes in video games? Yeah, and I think that's something that's continuously worked on.
I think though it's sorry.
Versatile
sorry.
response.
No, you go ahead,
Uh,
Jay. You go ahead. You go
I
ahead.
know. It's just a quick note. I feel like it's more because this is a mechanic of the game and not, I play Counter Strike. I hear what goes on in those chats. I don't turn my voice on for that purpose. But it's different when it's someone on the other end talking and spitting out vitriol versus like a mechanic of the game being used to bolster, like Chris was saying, racism.
And this is definitely a problem. Don't get it twisted.
Wait,
like,
what's the mechanic that bolsters racism? Maybe I missed that part too.
they
Karen talked about her experience, and then
Right.
she said she made like a Fanatiq alluded to like a tweet thread about it. She said she was chased in the game by like a racist. There's people in the chat that were saying that they had similar experiences. So people get the mask, and getting the mask isn't the problem, but you get like racist people that get the black mask, and then they go around chasing like black people in the game, and then being racist
Yeah.
in chat towards them.
they'll specifically target them and like lose the game just to target that
Yes.
specific. Right, so they're ruining the experience for everybody in the lobby.
This is like a huge. This happens like a lot in Dead by Daylight.
It happens
Yes.
a lot in a lot of games. Like,
Yeah.
not even that.
Period.
Well, not
Well, sure,
necessarily.
and it doesn't
We're talking
matter.
about
It
Dead
doesn't
by
matter.
But that's the thing. Like, why do we have to justify how often it
Right.
happens?
I play video games all the fucking time. I don't have people randomly running it down mid in my
But you're
games
also,
because
but
I'm a
my
black
dear,
woman.
my dear,
Okay,
you're also
so then
very
that's not your
passing for somebody
experience.
who is fair.
Exactly. So I'm trying to understand this experience because it's sounding like a really big fucking deal, and I don't get it.
Who said
Well,
it
when
was
you
a-
look
who-
at
This
the
is a-
place,
Wait, hold on, wait, I'm
Give it a
sorry.
try.
I'm sorry, just a second. Who placed any sort of measure on this? What are you talking about? A really, really big deal? Where are you getting that value statement from? No one said anything. We're not quantifying or trying to say what elevation it is. You already failed when you tried to compare it to Breonna Taylor or me.
No.
Too.
I didn't
No one
try to
mentioned-
compare it.
that's
I
not
didn't
what's
hear everything
happening.
Hope said, Fanatic.
I get it wasn't just hope it was banned, but yeah, whatever. I get that you didn't hear everything, but the fact of the matter is, no one's saying it's this big or some grandiose problem. We're discussing a problem, and that's what we're trying to get to the merit of.
Well,
You don't need to
let me
try to
understand
quantify or
the.
define it for
Let me
reasons.
understand how big this problem is, because
Okay.
I said 46 people on a fucking change.org
So
thing. Y'all said
I
it's not
get it.
that. It's more than that. So tell me, how big
Sure.
is this fucking problem?
Well, I think the thing was like,
I guess from my perspective, it'll be helpful to kind of know like what would help you kind of like understand like kind of the scope of the problem, because I think to your point that are people kind of like losing sleep kind of consistently over this, like are people boycotting the game over this or something like that. Like I think my question would just be like kind of what kind of scope are you talking about in terms of that? Like
So
what
when
you
there's
mean?
an issue with a game, usually there are reports made, and then you hear back from the developers if it's an issue, and if changes haven't happened, but the problem is still ongoing, you usually hear like media coverage about it or something. And I've never heard about this before.
I think what people are alluding to and is saying like, or do you think that small problems can still be problems, like inherently?
Lord, hold on.
I'm-
First, before she answers that question, can we just mention it's really insane for you to set the bar at media coverage on a game like Dead by Daylight? Like, what are we talking about here? There are all sorts
The
of
only
games where
thing I had to
people
go
create
by was
sorts of
46
arguments that
people on
have
a
to do with the fact-
change.org
I get
fucking
that-
thing.
I
And
get
then there's
that,
no
but
way
I
of
get that.
even
I
knowing
get
if
it.
another person is
I
black
get
in the
it.
game, but they
Wow,
have
this
to
is
like fucking
crazy.
stalk you as soon as they see your
I get-
username.
I get that you want to get hung up on this 46 number. As the person who found the petition, who has already readily explained to you, this was just a random thing that I found.
Yes, and then nobody
on Google.
explained anything further.
It was a random thing that I found on Google. It is not.
Okay, then tell me something that's not random.
It is not.
Tell me something not fucking random, then, Fanatiq.
It is not the scope or a representation of the problem. There are plenty of people in the chat.
Okay, then tell me the scope and the representation, Fanatiq.
Jerry, you can shut your mouth while I finish my sentence. It is not the scope or representation of the problem. There are all sorts of Twitter threads. You have users who are here who have hundreds of viewers. There have been people with thousands of viewers who have been talking about this issue. It is something that is happening. However, obviously, Black representation when it comes to the Dead by Daylight community is going to be the minority. So obviously, it's not going to be something that's on the same scale as something like League of Legends, which is the biggest game of all time, right? So, like, clearly, it's just a problem. It is something that's happening. It is affecting people's experience the same way that we could say something like hate raids are. I don't know. What's the scope for the total number of people who are getting hate raids on Twitch? We don't know that sort of information. You're asking us to quantify it as if we can arrive at some sort of specificity, as if that's a required element in order for us to analyze a problem that's happening that people are discussing.
But the thing is, I can't understand if it's an actual problem. I don't know if people are overly sensitive or if this is something that happens every fucking time someone's signing in and that you're reporting people who are doing this to you and they don't ever get kicked off the game. I need some actual, like, not random context then.
But if you were listening, Sister Karen gave that though. Like if you were literally.
Yes, I was listening, and then Prime asked her, "How do people know that you're Black?" Okay, and then it turns out you have to stalk someone. So is it every person in the game will stalk every person that they play against to see if they're Black? Like, what's the extent?
Come on, Sherry, what are you talking about?
I feel like that's why I was saying talking about thresholds isn't relevant.
Wait, no. I want to take this seriously. Like, because I was also, this question popped in my head too. Like, how is the moderation of racism being handled by the developers? Like, how does that work in the game?
That's a good question. So basically, go for it. You want to go? I'm sorry, I didn't want to talk over you.
You seem to be like the Daylight person, so you go.
Yeah, Karen.
Okay. All right. So basically, they have a report system in the game where you can report people if they say, racial slurs in chat, things like that. I used to think that this was a permaban if you said a racial slur in DVD post game chat. As it turns out, it is not. You kind of treat it like anything else. So you have this kind of stepwise escalation that you get for each offense, and then you get permaban after X amount of offenses or whatever. And so that's usually how it works. And so you have to be reported a certain amount of times. And if you're trying to talk about in-game behavior, you have to be able to be in a position where if you weren't a streamer, you have to have recorded your game to submit as evidence. So if you didn't do that, then it's going to be hard to prove if they didn't use a racial slur or something like that in post-game chat. So it's kind of a stepwise system to report people.
So they don't keep no one keeps a log of what games aren't recorded? There's not a chat log? I know
there are chat logs. There are chat logs. Yeah. Chat logs. Yeah. There are definitely chat logs for sure. But games are automatically recorded.
Wow. Gotta have those receipts. Okay.
Yeah. So the thing is, I'm pretty sure, Sister Karen, if you can correct me on this, didn't the developers respond when people were complaining about the blackface in their experience and say that they didn't see it as a problem?
I don't know if they said it wasn't a problem because we talked about it. So on Sisters of the Fog, sometimes last year, we had Not Queen, the lead community manager, on the podcast, and we talked to her about it. She's aware of the concerns. I don't think they did. I don't think it was that they didn't view it as a problem. I know that I don't know if they released anything official about it anyway. I think I've heard from other people that they don't consider that they've been actively discussing it, but I don't know. I don't think they've released anything official about it. No.
I see. Okay. So yeah, here's the other thing too. So first off, it does require a bit. There's a whole bunch of different characters in the game. The minority of the characters are Black. So already you're not going to get all of the harassment, right? So it's not going to be in the vast majority of games because the minority of characters are Black. Secondly, even the people playing the Black characters, the minority of Black people, right? I mean, the minority of people playing the Black characters are going to be Black people because Black people make up the minority of the Dead by Daylight community. So with all of those things, it's probably not going to be happening regularly in every game or whatever. The same exact way we would say something like hate raids. When the hate raids were popping off, off. It wasn't like they were applying to every person on every stream, but it was a problem. It was something that was occurring. I experienced one of them, right? So I don't have it, like, again, it's not like there's somebody collecting the data that we'd be able to quantify the entire scope of what the problem is. But what we can say, this is something, there is documented evidence of it. There was an entire Twitter thread in which people were like linking numerous videos of this behavior happening, and it is a problem, and it does seem like something that the developers really haven't taken on at all.
Yeah, I would say like as long as there isn't like an effective way to like counter grief these players or counter griefers, like the developers got to do something, because then it's just like a game in which anyone who's racist who wants to do this is going to be incentivized when people reach out. So if like I go and I complain, and I do what like you guys are saying, or some of you is say, and self-report it and tell people, even from the stream itself, if I tell people, there's going to be like more people that are going to be racist in the game and be like, oh, that sounds really funny, I'm gonna do that. And like I don't have a way of countering those people. So it's like, it seems like you're always at a loss, because the more you reach out, the more people know about something they could use. So it's like you'd want the developers to step in. I think at the same time, I agree with like Chris, who hasn't said something in a while, but his original statement rings true. It's like, yeah, like I want it's part of the character's lore. It makes sense. It's part of the character's lore. It makes sense to have the leather face, but at the same time, it's kind of like at the expense of what? Like if all it takes to change it is make it so that the skin on the leather face is not black anymore, but you still kill a black character, then like it's still including that black character, like he's saying. But then you'd get rid of a problem
whitewashing the face of a black character that like. What are black people
too
fragile
for
that?
Come on, son. Whitewashing the face of a black character, it's the skin. It'd still be a black character. It'd just be the skin.
No, but you're saying black people are too fragile for Leatherface to have a black like person's skin. Holy shit! Like, why?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I kind of feel like, you know, I understand how you're kind of trying to sum up arguments succinctly, right? But it's hard not to be defensive when this has happened to you, because I know I'm not a fragile person, and so it's kind of like it's hard. It's kind of, you know, you hear just like, I don't think I'm fragile, but okay.
If I'm being completely honest, I probably like in terms of like level of care, I'm probably closer to Cherry on this argument, but I'm not gonna like push back against people who are like aiming their concerns. Like I'm that don't care about it. Like if you say it's a problem, I'm gonna believe you on it, but like it's something that doesn't personally, like if I played the game, because I don't play the game, it wouldn't bother me. So I'm just not like, that's why people know I like to talk, and I'm like pretty neutral on this. Like if you say it matters, and you know I want there to be something to be about it, but I'm not gonna fight you on it. Like you just need to be tougher. You need to just handle it.
Yeah, but it sounds really
moderation on this.
victim-blamey, though.
I'm all for moderation on this. It's not victim blaming. I'm told Dead by Daylight has a 3-ban strike thing. The first one's 24 hours. The second one is a 3-day ban, or the second one is 2-day bans. The third one is a week ban, and then you get permaban. So it does seem like they have a standard for moderation. Now, if they are effective in doing so, that's another concern that can be brought up.
Yeah, and the problem is that people, one, aren't being banned for this specific problem, so it's not like, hey, people are griefing,
but
and
like,
then
how
they're
do
saying
you
that that's
know they're not
bannable.
being banned?
Well, Karen, do you have any examples of any of the content creators of anyone being banned for this?
I have no idea, honestly. And I don't even know how we could tell, to be honest with you. Like,
That's
but
exactly
even
Fanatic saying that.
even beyond that,
here's why I'm saying that. Can I answer really quick?
Because you like making shit up?
No. Oh, sure. You can assume that Miss is trying to stretch people's arguments and saying that we're comparing it to the Me Too movement. You've done a great job of that thus far.
But I'm gonna finish this.
You
don't get.
After that, then we'll continue on.
You finish. Go ahead.
As I finish. So the point is that yes.
Get a little closer to the mic.
Yeah, get it. When you
Repeat
peek and then go
You
back
got it.
down.
Stay with your chest, Fanatiq.
The reason why I would say that it probably isn't a great amount of people being banned for this is because, just like League of Legends, unless you have one recorded evidence and they do something that trips the computer to recognize that there's an offense being made, people don't get banned. For example, in League of Legends, it's a known problem that's existed for God knows how long, and they have infinitely more resources than the Dead by Daylight community. The Dead by Daylight developers. People can run down games and soft int and get unbanned for literal years. It's one of the biggest problems within their community. It's been something that has been cried about for literally close to a decade, right? So the thing is, determining griefing behavior is an entirely different thing than someone using a slur like the F slur or the N word. And so, yes, you will get banned in Dead by Daylight if you do things like the N word, and even that isn't always punished immediately. So that if they're not punishing the most egregious and obvious examples that other developers have successfully done, then it leads me to believe, and I think probably with good purchase, that this is not something that they would be banning, a griefing behavior which results in a loss by the killer themselves and is hard to document. Does that make any logical sense, or am I just making things up? Don't come for me unless I pay for you.
I'm not gonna lie, I zoned out.
Okay. Anyway, I think when it comes to like these situations, we talk about situations large and small, like problems large and small, and we like have discussions about them, whether or not it's like that big a deal or not. If that's your opinion, it's not that big a deal. I don't like disregard that opinion, right? I think we should take everyone seriously. I'll take you seriously. I wouldn't like just kind of like toss away your opinion. It's like I kind of feel like don't do that to others. And this is just a fun topic to talk about, right? And like in general, right? I don't think we should just like, this is an issue. I would say it's an issue in a lot of games. I've experienced tons of racist behavior that just can't like, it is hard to get checked when people have run down a list of getting banned for a lot of things and they're still finding new ways to do some fucked up shit, right? It's just an issue that we constantly have to deal with, and like it doesn't do us any good to not talk about these things. It doesn't do us any good to ignore the problem and just go about our day. These things are going to keep happening if we don't like in the space like this where we have like a bunch of Black voices. This is something we should be talking about. I don't know. I don't think we should it just feels weird.
I think there's like a level of like to Black existence that comes with. And this isn't just for Black people. This is for everyone experiencing like a minority experience. Like there's an individual level of buy-in to like. There's an individual level of like things that we've learned to accept. Like, oh, okay, life isn't going to be as easy for you. You're probably going to have to face these things, and we acknowledge these hurdles. And you have people that teach you how to get over those hurdles. Like you may have to toughen up. You may have to do those things, but like the next step of that conversation is not forgetting that those hurdles, those problems that exist in society still shouldn't. Like even though like you can have a conversation to an individual, like on an individual level. Like if somebody told me I'm Black, and Black people have trouble getting jobs, and we talk about like issues like systemic racism and all of the encompassing issues of like why systemic racism exists. That's not me excusing an individual from being successful or telling them that like they're like I don't have it, like it's okay to fail. But again, like just don't forget that like just because we come to tolerate these things, don't think that this should be reality. People can still voice their opinions on things that shouldn't exist in the world, and we can have conversations on how to make society like a better place for everyone involved.
Picture this, right? You 16 years old, right? And you're getting off the school bus, and your parents are just like, you argued, and your parents just scrounged up enough money to get you this game that you've been waiting for, Dead by Daylight. You get home off the school bus, you're ready to play, you get on the game, and then motherfuckers in black masks are coming up to you, calling you names, calling you the N-word. The names keep getting blocked out, and the last thing you see after a bunch of asterisks is, I don't like Black people. That's your first experience. Then you go to your parents, you're like, this is terrible. Like, I want something else. And they're like, you're fragile. We paid $60 for that shit. All right? We're not going to the store. You wanted it? That's what you get. You're going to have to learn to enjoy it, or that's what you stay with. And then you grow from that experience, and you're like, that's the way the world should be. You should be.
Oh my God.
These are experiences you need to be a strong Black individual.
If that's what you took from it, Wiggly, okay.
Yeah, I don't think it was that much of a stretch. It did seem like you were very much being victim blamey by talking about like the fragility of the people. I don't think I'm being victim blamey.
Honestly,
sure, I get that
you seem like you're concern trolling. For me to hear you, someone who had like a 2-hour fucking debate on whether my white father was racist or not for using the N-word, by the way, defending him using the N-word, I'm supposed to think that you actually give a fuck about this?
Hey, Wiggly.
There's
I'm
no
sorry, not
chance,
Wiggly.
Fanatic. You're
Carrie,
all the way full of shit.
I literally don't care if you want to
What
try
is
to.
this Wiggly
if
blasphemy?
I don't care if you want to try to inject non sequiturs into this conversation for the purpose of this conversation. You absolutely were victim blaming because you referred to the people who are experiencing this as fragile. You've done everything. You've done. Because you have to You've done everything in your power thus far to minimize the effect of this thing by trying to get to a specific quantifiable scope of what the problem is, saying that it doesn't seem that big of a deal, fixating on the 46 number of a change petition, literally calling the people who are doing it as fragile. So it's literally everything that you can possibly do. It's literally everything you can possibly do to try your best to get us not talking about the issue. Then bringing up some problem for bringing up another non sequitur.
Why does my voice not matter, Fanatic? I'm also a black person.
Such as the race.
Not on this panel right now. You not
the racism that you supposedly experienced from your father. Like all of these things have nothing to do with the conversation at hand. And all of these things have nothing to do with the conversation at hand. If you really feel that, listen, my sentences don't take that long. I actually speak rather quickly. I speak rather quick. I speak rather. How do you speak? Stop. No, mute her. I'm talking. I'm finishing a sentence. I speak rather quickly when someone isn't talking over me the entire time. If you actually want a conversation with some decorum, we can do that. If you really felt that sore about it, we were more than able to have this conversation at another time. I offered you the opportunity to speak about it. What was that, about a year ago? I offered you that opportunity then. You refused to have the conversation, and now you want to feel sorry about the fact that I spoke about an issue because
my fucking father calling me the N-word. That's
out of here. I don't care.
I know you don't care. That's why I don't give a fuck about you on this goddamn panel.
We're done.
Did Daddy call you the N-word?
A separate personal matter. Like, we'll leave that alone. We'll move it along.
Honestly, I think like you just being a little fragile.
Oh boy.
No, not the snowflakes.
Of all people to talk about fragility, Jerry couldn't even be in the channel anymore. Literally, you ran from the panel for like a year.
I'm right here.
Okay.
Wiggle.
A year later.
Wiggle. Why?
Wiggly.
What? So this is so funny. Sister Karen just came on to talk about being griefed in a game. Fanatiq just put up the topic. This shit is hilarious, though. This shit is so funny.
All right, so we're gonna move forward. We're gonna go to Chris. Before we do that, hey everyone, we're on the level 2 hype train. In chat, we're 30% done, 87% left. Can we get to a level 3 hype train? Hop off the channel, sub to the channel, gift bits or gift subs, all great ways to support what we're doing here. So if you appreciate the content, please be so kind and support that hype train. 2.5 minutes left. Can we get to level 3 hype train, please, Chris? This way.
I don't know. I disagree with Wiggle's prescription of maybe we should change the face white. I don't think it's whitewashing the blackface. I just think it's a cop out to those people's benefit. Man, what's that
hard, isn't it?
I had something in my mind, and like the whole exchange just made me forget a large chunk of it. Like I'm on the side that it should stay, right? And I'm on the side that this character interactions should stay. But we need some better levels of moderation, and I think the community as a whole should be pushing this to the developers as a large issue that they need to work on, right? It should make it easier to report these things. They should actually take these reports seriously, and like they have a big community. Dead by Daylight has a big community, but it's nowhere near as large as these other like communities of like, let's say, League of Legends. So they can manage this, right? It's not something that like is out of their scope. They can do something about this, and I think they should. This is, I don't know. Go to the next person. I had something in mind. I lost it.
We got 25% of that level 2 hype train, 75% left. Thank you, Jay, for the kind donation. Less than a minute left. Can we get to a level 3 hype train? Subs to the channel for $5, or gift bits or gift subs. It really does help us out a ton. If you enjoy the content, enjoy what we're doing here, please support the community. All right, yeah. Who else wants? Oh, go ahead. Hope.
I was gonna say, so real quickly, I don't know what the personal thing is, whatever the fuck that was. But I will say, and please, because I know how you girls like to tussle. Like, this is just me stepping in on some like Black person bullshit. I don't think that it's fair to invalidate whatever experience was had. I think that if a person is Black and they experience some shit, I don't give a shit who it came from. I don't give a fuck how they look. I don't give a fuck how they show up in the world. I'm not going to invalidate the experience because none of us want to have that experience, and especially not from people of our family. So let's like practice like not being Black people, invalidating other Black people's experiences in public, especially when we don't know who's watching us, you know? So it's kind of like that in-house business stays in-house. I can't apologize for Fanatiq, but I will say that as somebody who tries to practice what they preach, like, that was fucked up. I acknowledge that. I'm going to call it out. I don't think that that was right. And I'm sorry that you had to go through that, because all of us have to go through that at some point, but we don't have to always deal with it from our families. And it's fucked up that your father did that to you. So acknowledging that shit, moving the fuck on, and hoping that we try not to do that again, at least not on this particular panel. If y'all want to get out on another one, like, cool, but I just think that that was fucked up because your experience is valid regardless of how you show up. So yeah.
So I think that sometimes people get some hate and they think that it's the worst thing that's ever fucking happened to them because they've never experienced actual fucking hate. So yeah, I think the video game culture and the toxicity within it is a little fucking different than experiencing racism like in person in real life. And if that comes off as invalidating or insensitive to other people's issues, then I guess that's just me.
I'm gonna say that I mean I'm gonna be honest with you though. I think that
Just you.
I think that's kind of like, I just think that kind of just misses the point in some ways, you know? Like, for example, like, I think there have been many people who, like, founder of Sister the Fog, My Lady Confetti, she basically had somebody target her repeatedly with that cosmetic to the point where they're follow botting her. It made her so uncomfortable that she stopped streaming the game for months because it was the amount of things that she had to do because of this person targeting her. Because, I mean, was it because of the cosmetic? Like, no, but did the cosmetic enable it? Like, would he have done it without it? I don't know if they would have done it without it, but did it kind of enable it and make that with that cosmetic? Maybe, you know, like, I think it's a maybe. And I think that the amount of harassment that people get afterwards from people who do it, like, I don't think it's something to be discounted, you know, like, I think it's kind of hard to kind of just blow it off when people are kind of like filling your inbox with racial slurs or kind of filling your chat with like follow bots or chat bots, whatever, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's kind of hard to just be like, you know, yes, I mean, yeah, I think we all realize it's a video game. And I think that for most of us, right, like, we can clearly understand that, you know, the implications of some 12-year-old jackass, you know, calling you the N-word in a game is kind of different than something that's going to happen to you in real life. But at the same time, you know, how you spend your free time is valuable as well too. I just think that, you know, I think that people can go, you know, people can go the extra mile beyond just like targeting you in the game too. Like, it's harassing messages afterwards, what they try to do to keep on going and make your life miserable just because you had audacity to show up Black in the video game. Like, it's a lot. It's not nothing, you know. I just would say it's just not nothing.
Yeah.
Is there another voice in the background?
Is it? Yeah. Who's someone? If someone's got like some noise in the background, please mute yourself. But I understand where some of the individuals like Bam and Cherry were coming from, right? I guess you kind of want to put this all within scale, right? That understanding that there are, you know, great injustices that happen in this world. Maybe that's where our focus should be. But I also understand that, you know, for instance, as I understand it, is this how you make your living, Karen, or is
Oh yeah, I was partnered off playing this game.
Yeah, right. Like something she said, 5K hours into this, right? Like this is a big part of her life and others, right, who are Dead by Daylight streamers, and you want the place that you spend your time with, the place where you have all these fantastic memories, the place where your friends congregate. Like you want that to be a quote unquote safe place, right? You want it to be a place where you're not experiencing like needless harassment. Now it's going to happen one or the other. I mean, right? Over anything and for any reason. But I guess there's a special type of hurt that happens when it's because of something you literally can't control. You're specifically being targeted by that. And yeah, it just really sucks. And it sucks when developers aren't taking these things, when you feel that they're not taking these things seriously. When your experiences seem to be unimportant to the wider community. And so
isn't this a problem that should be able to be resolved if we have streamers who are being harassed? And like you would have to be a streamer because they would have to be able to look you up and see that you're a streamer. And so while you're playing, you're already recording, so you should have the video evidence to report them, right?
Well, it's not only streamers though, right? You don't have to be. They can just literally look at you. So let's say if you have a Steam profile,
right?
They can. If you have a Steam profile that has your picture on your Steam profile, right? And your picture is a picture of you as a Black person, then they can still do it that way. Like even like, or if you play on any other platform, you happen to have your own face as your user profile, they can just do it with that too.
And also, I want to point out, like, it does seem a little bit silly to me when we like start saying, well, this isn't the biggest problem in the world, right? Because yes, politics is typically a broader conversation about broader implications, but we all live all of our individual experiences. Like when we're advocating for like political issues and political and social change, it's not because of it shouldn't be only because of our personal experiences. You got to think, Congress passes legislation on things like prison reform and things like that all the freaking time. And how many of our congressmen who are passing this legislation have actually ever been to prison, right? Like we advocate for things not like that are sometimes outside of our experience. We can advocate for trans rights when we're not trans. We can advocate for DACA recipients when we were born here, right? Like so that's I don't think that matters at all in the grand scheme of things. And then secondly, it's like also I just think that the idea that we're again, it seems like almost a minimizing of the actual problem when we start trying to say, well, let's compare it to other problems and see if it holds up. Like, I don't think
it's minimizing. I think there's toxicity within video games. And I think this is more of an issue with moderation and maybe the harassment of streamers. Like stream sniping is not a new thing. I just don't see how this resorts down to this blackface, leatherface. That part is the part that I would just like throw the fuck out.
So, okay, how about this? There's a certain community that seems that feels that this is an issue, right? Literally nothing else in the game has to change, but let's say they got rid of this particular mask, right? Like seems to be an avenue of harassment, and we just got rid of this one thing. Now, literally nothing else changes. No, most people don't even notice that it's gone, right? This avenue of harassment is well, they can even still harass Black people, but like at least not wearing this face. Would you be in favor of something like that, Cherry?
No, I think that's stupid.
Why?
Didn't Fanatiq say that he felt like it would run Black people off the game? My bad cutting you off.
I just think that leather face being Black makes sense if it came off the face of a Black person. And I think removing that, like you would either be removing the Black character or you would be telling people that Black people are too sensitive and can't have a Black face worn by a white dude. And if that is the only thing that changed and then everybody was fine with it, then like it literally is just summed down to being offended at a Black face.
That's a mischaracterization.
Then it has nothing to do with harassment.
It wouldn't automatically signal that Black people can't have a white character wearing the blackface. It would signify that Black people were experiencing a problem, that people were using this in a nefarious way, and that's why we had a problem. In the way that you solve the problem is to lighten the skin. In the same sense, I never recommended that. In the same sense that if we were to remove the trihex face, then it wouldn't signify that Black people can't have their face being used on Twitch. It would signify that there's a problem that's happening and we're trying to find a way around it. I think that's a bad solution. Again, I think the obvious solution, which I think finally there's something we agree on, would probably be the idea of greater moderation, which was what I mentioned in my opening. We probably need greater moderation in order to prevent people from continuing this bad behavior. But yeah, that's not indicative of any sort of sensitivity or anything like that.
But I guess my problem with like the whole idea of increased moderation, like I don't disagree with that, right? But to me, like there's new people that pick up this game all the time, right? Like I don't see how Dead by Daylight is going to achieve this like racism-free utopia that society has not yet achieved, right? Like how I don't really get it. Like I feel like people are going to be racist. They're going to continue to be racist. If they get banned off one account, they're going to make it all account and be more racist. Like I don't think there's going to ever be a point where we're going to be like, oh my God, we've got rid of all the racists out of Dead by Daylight. That's not going to ever happen. There's not going to be a time we're going to turn off the racist faucet in the DVD. Like it's going to like. I think we can assume it's going to continue. Like, I don't think it's going to be a way that's going to.
I would assume just making it harder for people would be the goal.
I mean, I get make it harder, but I'm just saying. I mean, to me, like, I don't like. I guess, like, for me, right? Like, yes, I don't think they shouldn't do that, but I don't think they should just be like, all right, well, we'll eventually get to a place where we'll improve these moderation tools, and we'll just also leave this in too. You know what I mean? I'm just like, all right, like,
wait, because I feel like the standard for success can't be perfection. Like if it happens at all, can't like that doesn't mean that like we haven't made improvements to our game. Like that, even if we acknowledge that there's always a possibility of it continuing to happen, I think just making it more difficult for people to do so seems to generally lead to like more positive outcomes, even if that's not perfection, but like perfection shouldn't be the standard anyways.
No, I agree, don't get me wrong. No, I totally agree with that. Like I agree, like that the perfection is the enemy of good, right? Like I get that. Like I'm here for that line of reasoning too, but it just feels like, you know, if people are misusing a tool, which is like what they're doing with this, you know, what they're doing with this Blackface Leatherface, right? Like I just feel like, I don't know. To me, it doesn't feel like, I don't feel like there's a really good, compelling argument to me to kind of be like, you know, let's keep it in. It's fine. Like, I mean, it does. I just don't feel like I'm convinced. Like,
well, that's why I brought up the idea of like making the community, making this unacceptable to the community as like in large. Right, you're not gonna be able to like eliminate the racists in the game because, like you said, there's racists in society. So like just like building a large community around it, I would suggest only playing private games where you like know the people you're playing with. I know that like that's how I like eliminated a lot of like the racist experiences that I've had in games. Right, I just limited it to the people I'm comfortable playing with. But I understand like to kind of remove yourself from that larger community can be like I don't know. I would get distracted by sounds in the background. Yeah. I can hear like a TV or something.
That creates a bigger problem though, Chris, right? Like, because now you're basically saying that we have to play segregated game. We can't just play in the community like everyone else. I've met friends like playing Dead by Daylight, like real people who I'm particularly close to, randomly, that I just so happen to be in a lobby with, that happen to like recognize whatever, but like that happens. So I don't really like the idea of like now all of a sudden I just got to create private lobbies for myself in order to experience the game. That doesn't sound like that's a solution either. Furthermore, I don't think that the idea of increasing moderation is supposedly going to be creating some crazy utopia. That's not what I'm advocating at all. But what I am saying is that you need to start sending some sort of signal that like basically lets the people who are using this thing inappropriately recognize that there's a punishment so as to discourage them from continuing to do the behavior. This isn't about like some perfect solution that's going to make the problem go away in its entirety. That's I don't even understand how that's even introduced into the conversation.
Yeah, I don't think there's that many Black people that you know are dying for the right to be killed in this video game. Like I said, I don't think that like leaving the character in, taking it out. I don't think that like in context of this conversation, like we could discuss how we feel about that, but I don't think there would be that much of an uproar regardless of the decision to leave the character and to take them out, or like, you know, like where's the Black people to murder?
That's not that again.
I know that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that people don't care about that. I'm not trying to.
I'm sorry, as I've said, like from the very beginning, the first time when you made that statement, and I very quickly clarified that it's not about in any way, shape, or form people feeling like representation would be a problem. That's not the issue. That's not not what the problem is. The problem is the signal. I don't know how many times I can say this.
Well, that's because that was Prime's question was about leaving the character in or taking it out. That's why I'm just talking to Prime's, answering Prime's question.
What? I'm sorry. Maybe I missed that question because I thought we'd already answered that multiple times.
You did. It's okay though.
What was the question again, Prime? And maybe I can engage with it because maybe I must have missed it.
I was just asking Cherry if we just simply took that mask out, if that would be an acceptable answer. I think you did engage with it previously, right? And just after Cherry, you engaged.
Yeah, I thought I did.
Yeah. Okay.
So then, I don't know why we needed to go back to that same already debunked stupid statement. Then my bad. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we'll leave it alone. Karen, do you have anything else you want to say about this, since this is something that affects you specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, to me, I just want to say from the standpoint of whether or not, whether or not it represents actual blackface. I think we all understand that this is clearly different from the blackface that was used back in the, late 1800s, early 1900s in minstrel shows to dehumanize Black people. I think it's clearly different. I think that most of us can understand that. However, I think that, to the point where, it reminds you of it's reminiscent of how that whole thing was used to kind of dehumanize and devalue Black people. Then you have people who then use it as a racist tool too. I don't know. I think that meaning, that kind of the fact that you have this white character with blackface who most of the experiences that a lot of us have had in the game have been explicitly racist with it. It just compounds kind of the issue for me, honestly. I just think it's just really cosmetic. That I get why it's in there. I get why it was there. I personally don't feel the need to have anybody represented by that cosmetic. And I just think, it's not even about me. Oh my God, it's so painful. Look at it. It's just it just doesn't feel, I don't know. I just think that we could just do a lot of good by just taking it out, honestly. I don't think it'll be missed.
Okay. All right.
Can I ask just one more question? Can I just ask her one question?
Yeah, I also have one question too.
Yeah. Okay. Sister Karen, really quickly, do you believe that by doing that the racist and bad actors who are intentionally misusing this thing, do you think that would encourage them to start being even more racist, recognizing that they were able to get under the skin of people such that the thing was removed? Do you think that's a realistic possibility?
It might be. Okay. I definitely think it could be for sure, especially in the short term or after it happens. Do I think that people might be even worse in the short term afterwards? Yes. I think that probably will happen, but I think I think over time, they probably will happen in the short term, but I don't know. I think over time would feel good about them at least not doing whatever weird racist roleplay they were doing beforehand with that cosmetic.
Okay.
Jay?
And then my question was, what for the other killers, if they kill someone X amount of times, what do they get?
Depends on their lore, right?
Okay.
So,
I don't think. Leatherface actually is the only one that has an unlockable cosmetic for that. That's the only killer that has that. No, nobody else does actually.